Greed is the topic of today. I've been spending some time thinking about how greed shows up in our lives. And, for a long period of my life, I thought that greed was something that was experienced by wealthy people or people who have accumulated a lot. And in this process of exploring greed in my own experience and also in the experience of situations around me, I discovered something quite different. Greed may, in fact, be playing a very powerful role in keeping people in poverty. Hi, welcome to Healing from A to Z with Masterful You and KB. I am Chris Burke, and I am delighted to be talking to you today about greed. Whenever I start researching a topic, when we're going through this healing journey, I'm looking at each of these topics within my own experience, within my own unconscious, like what's in there that I'm acting out in relation to this. Where do I see it in the outside world? And where do I see evidence of it in myself? So I always want to do both sides of the coin because I realize anytime I'm telling myself that it's only other people who are doing that and there's no presence of it in me, I'm denying some aspect of myself. Being a whole human, I have all of the aspects, I have all of the attributes that a human could possibly have. And the goal is, of course, to keep them in balance, not to deny some and claim others. Hey, look, I'm always this way, so that makes me better than other people. Or hey, I never experience greed, and so that makes me better. Because whenever we use judgment, whenever we're trying to be superior to other people, in fact, that is a form of greed. That is a form of wanting to be superior, recognized, to have more attention than other people. It's kind of saying, oh, give me your accolades, give me the good attention because I am more deserving than other humans. And that is such a dangerous place to get to because that starts to create a sense of isolation. Whether you feel that you're superior or you feel that you're inferior, and I've experienced both of those situations, whenever we're in one of those dynamics, we are actually separating ourselves from the human experience and we're saying, I'm not having the full human experience. I'm not even capable of it. I am therefore better than or worse than other humans. And when we do that, we make it impossible to connect. First of all, we make it impossible for us to connect with ourselves, with our true, authentic self that absolutely knows that we have all of the attributes. And it also makes it impossible to connect with other people because you can only connect with people, in a situation where you're recognizing I'm a human, you're a human, we have all the attributes, and let's decide if we can have a genuine connection here versus I'm better than you because of some idea I have in my head, or you're better than me because of some idea, again, that we have. So greed is one of those things where people get it in their heads that if I have more of something, then that makes me better. And again, that separates us. That puts us into a situation where we want to be king. And hey, that's in us. Realized too that a lot of people would say, a lot of people living in poverty, and I've experienced that myself. Um, a lot of people living in poverty will say, I'm not greedy at all. I don't have anything. And I've noticed that in the greed situation, that it can be that we go to work and we feel resentment about the fact maybe our employer has more money than we do. Maybe they are living a better lifestyle. Maybe they have developed more skills and experience than we have. Whatever the case may be, we may go to that employer and feel like they have an unfair advantage over us. And we could feel resentful about the fact that we have to work for them. So greed can show up in the sense that we can say, I'm going to take as much as I can from you, as much money, as much pay, as much benefits, time off, whatever it is, as I possibly can from you. And I'm going to contribute as little as I possibly can at work because I already feel like this is unfair and I'm feeling like I'm going to balance the score or even the score. We want to be careful about that because this will set up a pattern where we, instead of being in balance with this generous giving and receiving and recognizing that the more in balance we are with the giving and the receiving, the more we can grow that. The more we give, the more we will receive. The universe keeps that balance. But we need to watch ourselves. A lot of people would say, and I would have said for much of my life, that's not true. I give and give and give, and I don't get anything back, or I don't get enough back. I would have said that. And in truth, I wasn't giving generously. I was giving with the expectation of getting, and there is greed under that, right? There is this sense of, I want my part, and I think the way I'm going to get that is by giving. And so I'm going to give, but I'm going to do it with the energy of resentment. And when you give with the energy of resentment, you are not building up an energy flow, a balanced flow that is going to bring resources or gifts back your way. So the goal with greed really is to be balanced and say, yeah, we're going to experience greed. It's going to show up in our experience if we deny it. And this is the hard thing about this whole healing journey. The more we deny that something is a part of us, the more likely it is that it's wreaking havoc with us, which is why I'm going through this painstaking journey of doing the entire alphabet of healing, because I found that greed has definitely been playing a very sneaky and malicious role in my experience, simply because I wasn't acknowledging it. I wasn't conscious of the places that it was showing up. It was in my unconscious, running some of my patterns. And I'm looking at it now and saying, wow, I can see why in certain situations I felt annoyed with people, because I felt that they were actually trying to take advantage. Well, there are situations where I too have been trying to take advantage and I wasn't aware of that. So bringing all of this to your conscious attention means now you can seek greater balance. So that's what healing is all about too. It's, about bringing what's in the unconscious to the conscious and recognizing it's all part of the human experience. There's nothing good or bad about it. What I will say is that if we are out of balance, then our life experience is not going to work for us well, because it's like we're limited to walking around on one foot or the other, and we're going to end up going in circles. So what we really want to do is create that balance between, like, let's say, greed and generosity, greed and gratitude. If you scale greed way back, there can be a sense of, yes, I want things in my life, and I also want that to be part of an exchange. I want other people to have things in their lives too, right? I want this to be a win-win-win experience. I don't want to build a bigger pile than everybody else because that somehow makes me feel like I'm a better person or a better human. At some point, as we're going along in this healing journey, we see all of the places where that was the story that was driving us. And when we start to see that it was actually hurting us instead of helping us, it keeps us from ever being able to be content in our skin, because you can never have enough, no matter how much you have of anything, of status, of attention, of money, of wealth, of property. No matter how much you have, there will never stop being a desire for more. That's part of the human experience. So we really need to learn how to be content where we are, and then also to say, of course, I want to expand my experience, because that too is human. But can we do it in a way that we're not blindly is the key, blindly driven by greed? Can we ask ourselves honestly, is greed playing a role in my life right now? And if I can't see that, is it because I'm not looking? I'm not wanting to see it. Okay, let's do our exercise. I'm going to invite you to write down 3 times that you've seen greed in other people. Who do you know who's greedy? Just whoever pops into mind. And then write down 3 times that you've been greedy. This could be about money, it could be about effort, it could be about time or energy. It really could be about anything. Any time that you felt like you wanted an unfair advantage, you wanted to get more than you were giving, or see what you could get away with, and write that down. Okay, now circle these 6 items here, because this is your starting place. This is you bringing, this is what you have to bring to your conscious attention about greed. And so it's a starting point. And we look at that and we say, okay, what is your experience of greed at this moment? When you look at this, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of your experience? With 1 being, oh my gosh, looking at this makes me feel like I just want to go crawl under my bed and never come out again because it's so shocking and heavy. To 10 being, okay, well, I can see this and it's perfectly understandable how all of this happened, and I'm just trusting that it's all going along as planned. Where are you currently on that scale? This is your internal compass. This is an intuitive exercise, so whatever number you come up with, that's the right number for you. Just write it down. This is your starting experience. It's so important to understand the difference between who we are and where we are. In our experience, we can be anywhere from that 1 to that 10, and that 10 will keep going and going and going. There's no limit to where that can go. We can be anywhere on that scale of experience. It can just keep getting better and better as we learn how to master our unconscious world, how to use our conscious mind to understand and access and master our unconscious mind. That's part of what we're doing right now. So as we look at that experience and recognize you're not your experience, you are the experiencer. You are the aspect, the energy, the spirit, the soul, however you think about it, that is having the experience. When you are at a 1, you are the same person as when you are at a 2, also at a 2, but the same person as when you are at a 10 experience, and yet you will be having a completely different experience. You will feel like a different person, even though you are the same. So we are not our past. We are not our futures. We are the part of us that is able to check in, that awareness that's able to say, where am I right now? Is this where I choose to be? So in order to decide if this number is where you choose to be right now, let's interview it and find out what it is. We have 5 different streams of energy or information coming into us all the time: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and bodily, which I realize is also physical, but there's this sort of outward world action, and then there's the body, which is the inner physical. So when we're looking at these streams of energy, they all inform us about where we are in our experience and whether or not it's working for us, whether or not it's leading us in a direction that we want to go. Is this a place I want to be? Is this not a place? Do I need to make different choices? But in order for us to make those decisions, we actually need access to all 5 levels of energy, all 5 streams of information. Oftentimes we get stuck just in our minds, and it's like we're flying blind. We're tuning out the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual, and we're just living in our heads. And that creates a lot of problems because we're getting other information, other forms of really important information from these other streams, and we're not paying attention to them. So we're missing out on key information that could lead us to make better choices. So let's go ahead and interview where you are right now, at whatever number is your starting point. We're going to say, when I am at this number, when it comes to greed, I think. Write down whatever you're thinking. Then write down what you are feeling, what you are saying and doing to yourself inside your own mind, inside your own experience, and then also with interacting with other people. What are you saying to people about greed? What are you doing that's related to greed? What do you sense in your body when you scan your body, when you're thinking about these greed situations you've written down? What do you feel there? Is there tension anywhere? Is your jaw clenched? Is your stomach tight? Are your toes curled? What do you notice? And then finally, what do you know to be true about yourself and greed at this experience level? Okay, that's a great job interviewing yourself. Obviously, this will take some time, so stop the video if you need to, come back. You can also go to masterfulyou.com and download a workbook that will guide you through this process. Okay, so now you know your starting point. Now we have to decide where you're going. I always recommend to people that you choose like a 7 or an 8 as your destination, because as you move along through the process and start learning how to feel more content in your current experience, then you will start to realize that a 10 becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, but generally not from the things that we thought were going to improve our experience. I can't say that it will be 100% true for you, but it generally we're surprised at, like, wow, I was working so hard to get that because I thought it was the key to me having a better experience. And then I find out that actually the thing that I wanted was available to me right now, and I was missing out on it because I was so focused on this external thing. It often happens. Okay, so set your number for the future, your destination. This is the experience you're going to have. You're not going to change your outside world. You're going to change your own experience and then watch how your life changes, how the people and situations in your life change in response to the tune up in you and the change in the way that you show up energetically. Okay. So now you're going to write down whatever that number is. When I am at this number of experience, when it comes to greed, I will think. Write down what you will think. Write down what you will feel, what you will say and do to yourself and others, what you will sense in your body, and finally, what you will know is true about yourself and your experience. Let your imagination really play with this. Paint a beautiful picture because you're using your conscious mind to set an intention, create a vision of what your future experience will be like, and then you're planting that in your unconscious where the work can begin. And finally, the last question is, what do I need to know or do to move along on this journey? The information can come from any of these channels of information. It can pop in as a thought, it can come from a dream, it can be something emotional. You could say or do something and then say, wait, what was that about? Somebody else could say or do something. You could experience a body sensation, or you could have an intuitive or inspired, bing of information. Something could just pop into your mind, into your awareness. For help moving along on this journey, you can go to masterfulyou.com. You can also come on Fridays to the weekly Q&A that my dear friend and colleague Judy Forder and I do for each letter of the alphabet. So this Friday we'll be doing the G's. And of course, greed is among that. And the link to the video after it's recorded will also be below this video, so you can watch it later at whatever time you're watching this video. If you enjoyed this process, please like, share, and subscribe. I really admire you being here at this point in the video. This is hard work. It's challenging for any of us to look at ourselves this honestly. And the truth is, the only way that we can heal and grow and evolve is by having the courage to look at the parts of ourselves that might be limiting us beneath our awareness. And that's what we do is we go in and we find masterful you and help you to reclaim that oneness, that cohesiveness, that mastery and brilliance that lies within you that maybe you've lost touch with over the years. Thank you for being here with me today. And thank you for being you.